Hey there and welcome. I'm here today because we just had one of our 3-day autism recovery action plan events for parents, where I teach the four-stage process that I used to recover my own son from his symptoms of autism when I was told it was not possible. And what I did is take my 18 years of autism research and my 38 years of holistic health, studying the brain. My background is craniosacral therapy, and I take it all and I share it with you in this event. And I created a step-by-step membership program for parents of children with autism because honestly, I got tired of watching everybody go through what I had gone through, the struggles and the challenges of trying to figure it out for yourself, trying different practitioners who end up not really knowing autism, not really knowing what to do, and definitely not having a thorough A to Z step by step or any type of roadmap. It was somebody had a, oh, change the diet a little bit, remove gluten, and then maybe, try this supplement or these three supplements, and we'll do a little bit of detox, but they really didn't know what they were doing. And it wasn't thorough, and there was no clear roadmap. And I know after I had such success with my son and I had done so much extensive research and I had the knowledge, I thought I have got to share this with parents of children with autism. I know that you're out there going through those same things I was, trying practitioner after practitioner, thinking maybe somebody might know what to do, trying different therapies, and your child's really struggling in some of them. They're having trouble in school, they're having trouble sleeping, they're having tantrums at home. You're just maybe at the end of your rope. I've had parents who come to me and say, I thought I'd done everything. They join my program, they get in, they follow the steps thoroughly and have success in where they haven't before. I have various podcasts where I've interviewed some of my members. One of them, podcast number 182 at naturallyrecoveringautism.com/182. I interview Mary, who her son Kevin was 13 when she found me a few years ago. And Kevin was, again, 13 years old, big guy, right? He's in middle school. He's hiding under the desk, kicking and biting other kids in the classroom, terrified in anxiety attacks, couldn't go to school. She was missing work constantly, being called at work to come pick him up from school because they couldn't keep him there. He wasn't learning. She was worried about his education, but also his overall well-being, as I'm sure you are about your child. And that's how I was for my own son. And so Mary had, when she found me, she had been working with a functional medical doctor for 4 years. She said she thought she had done everything. They'd gone through whatever they went through. I'm not even sure. She really wasn't getting very good results. She said, Karen, I was at the end of my rope, but I knew I could not give up. And that's what I am grateful that you haven't done, is you haven't given up on finding the answers. You're seeking the education. And I'm glad that you did, because honestly, I believe you have found it here with me, because people get results with me where they never have before. And so Mary's story goes into her just, saying, I've got to try something else for Kevin. I can't just leave it like this. So what do I do? She joined the program, and in the first year, less than that, of course, she was having success, seeing milestones with him that were tremendous. Let me fast forward to 3 years later. She has followed the steps in the program. Kevin was a team leader in the summer youth camp. He is now not only doing well in school, he's on the honor roll. The kids in the summer camp love him. He is calm, and she says he's so calm and so happy now, and he's so sweet, and he always was. And same with my son and with your son or daughter. I always want to tell everyone that, your child is not an angry person. It is that their brain is so toxic and so inflamed that they cannot function the way they want to. Nobody wants to be having tantrums and anxiety attacks and be riddled with fear, or feeling sick with their gut always ill, or not sleeping, or not speaking. I've worked with parents who their child was very severe. They were told, your child will never speak. Actually, a doctor told this mom, your child will never speak. Just don't look for that to happen. And, and so she thought, well, I'm going to do something for him. She joined the program. He is now speaking. She says, we're mesmerized by his speech. He's like got normal, like full functioning speech. And, she hadn't gotten those results before my program. And so I always say everybody's level of recovery is different. And the definition of recovery being to regain health. If your child keeps their autism diagnosis, that's fine. It's not the goal. The goal is to help your child live their happiest, healthiest, and most fulfilling life possible with the greatest independence possible. And I have seen over and over and over with my program people getting results where they never had before. And I want you to take advantage of it because I know that you've been out there struggling and searching and trying to figure out what else you can do for your child, but you don't know what the missing pieces are. You don't know what else there is to do. You don't have a roadmap. You don't know what sequence to go in. It's not usually done safely, and it's definitely not usually done without drugs. Everything we do in my program is natural and safe. There's no drugs used. You don't have to spend a bunch of money on testing that is usually inaccurate. And I talk about all of these things also in my 3-day event. And if you missed any of it, then I'll do a brief recap here, but you really want to catch the days if you miss them. Days 1, 2, and 3 are available. The replays are on the same page right now for a very limited time, so don't delay. The replays of each day, so they're about an hour plus Q&A at the end, so an hour plus maybe 30 minutes. You can catch what I taught in each of the 3 days about my 4-stage process, and learn about the membership program and what it offers you, and join now while doors are open, again for a limited time. And all of this is available to you right now before the page expires. Please make sure you go there, naturallyrecoveringautism.com/go. And this is for everyone. So whether you are new to the autism recovery process or you've been on it for decades, whether your child is 2 or 42, it doesn't matter. It works for anyone at any age. And I've seen it over and over and over. In day 2 of the event, you can go back and catch the replay that I shared a mom whose son was 27 when she found me, and her son had been diagnosed at age 2. At age 27, when she found me, she says, "We fought so hard." She had tried different things all these years, 25 years, right? He's 27 years old now, or was when she found me. She joined the program. She said he had 2-word sentences at that point. And she decided, again, same thing. I've got to try something. I've got to see if this works. She joined within a few months in my program. Her son is talking and reading books with her. And you can listen to her share that in day 2. I share that video. She gave us a video testimony of her sharing that. And it is, this is what just gives me chills. It makes me so grateful that I have the knowledge to share with you. And I know that you need support and you need guidance. You really need to know how to do all of this correctly in the exact proper sequence. And I give you direct links to the well-researched, absolute best products for our kids with autism. And when you need that one, because there are certain things we do in the beginning. Remember, I did the stage 1 through 4. Stage 1 is healing the gut, moving on into, making sure we set that foundation. And it has a lot to do with diet, but it's not all diet. There's much more than diet involved, but I teach you everything about diet in my program that you need to know, because even some healthy foods are causing probably anxious issues. There are other problems that certain foods can cause that you need to be aware of. And so with diet, but also setting the foundation with some detoxification support. Yes, we need binders. As somebody's asking, Shanna said, you'd like to know if you can detox using zeolite, for instance, without a binder. The one I give you in the day 1 of the event can be used without a binder. That is one of the only things that I would say that about, because most things you want some toxin binders in place with. And we use a few different ones in my program, but in the 3-day event in day 1, I just give you something simple that you can go to the health food store and use some activated charcoal to help bind up some of those toxins. We don't want our kids to detoxify too quickly, or we're going to end up with what we call die-off symptoms or detox reactions, where their symptoms can get much worse before they can get better. And we want to reduce that down to a minimum. And toxin binders are helpful with that. The ones I use in my program are longer term and are liquid and Very easy to use. The one I give, just because it's easier when you're not in my program to give something simple you can go to a health food store and get, is some activated charcoal. And it's used again away from food. I explain how to use it and how much to use for your child's weight or size. And you want to basically use that maybe for 4 or 5 days at the most, and then take a break. It's not something you want to use every day all the time, but it's great for an assistance when needed. So we set the foundation, stabilize, and strengthen those detox pathways before we move on. Stage two, heavy metal detoxification. And I mentioned the product that I use and why I use that very specific product. There are a lot of very, very junky, bad products on the market. They can be have bad fillers in them. They can be poor absorption. They don't have good bioavailability. They could, have contaminants in them. That's very common too. And so I do a lot of deep research on anything that I utilize. I've used it myself and with my own family, and it is part of the program where it needs to belong. And again, every place has every supplement has its place in there. But this is something too that we use something that's natural and safe, and it's a spray that tastes like water, so it's easy to give. I know that we have to do something that's easy to give our kids, powders and sprays and liquid forms, etc. And we want to know how to use it, starting at the lowest possible dosage first. Like even a drop of something might be more than enough for your child for the first few days or week. And then you can move up from there. But you have to know all of these things. Otherwise, you can end up in a big detox die-off reaction that cannot be pretty. And so then heavy metal detoxification done safely and naturally is important, because if you use the pharmaceutical drugs like DMSA, they allow for reabsorption of those toxins back into the body when it's trying to excrete them. And so then you can have it released into the bloodstream and have a whole new disbursement of heavy metal toxicity in your child's bloodstream and through the brain and everywhere else. And they can get worse. Plus, DMSA will pull out good minerals like calcium and magnesium that we need to survive and thrive, and our kids are usually already deficient in. So it's very, very important to remember that we want to do things safely and naturally, and to be educated about what you're using for your child. Like, you might just go to the doctor and they say, well, let's get them on DMSA. Have you researched it in depth? Do you know the things that I just told you? It is very important to know that. Do you know that there are safe and natural alternatives that work just as well if you know how to use them properly also? So this is all that I can educate you about in my program. I'm talking about Asma is asking how to heal the gut. And so we're talking about some of that right now, because I also then will move into stage three, was clearing the co-infection. So every piece, healing up the gut. We want to work on that candida that's literally boring holes in the lining of the gut, and allowing for something called leaky gut, where those undigested foods get into the bloodstream, and the immune system creates markers saying these are now a new allergy. So all of a sudden your child's allergic to all of these things they once weren't allergic to, and you're thinking, what happened? And they're starting to get afraid to eat, so they become picky eaters because they know they don't feel good and food makes them anxious. So we got to heal the gut, helps the picky eating. And I also give you in day one definitely in the program, clear ways to help you through the transition for picky eaters, to get them on healthier foods. And it does take time for some kids, but as that gut begins to heal, and some of the OCD from some of the other issues that we're working on, when those calm down, then they become less picky eaters. My son was once a very picky eater. Today he's not at all. And he's very healthy, independently living on his own, a college graduate, got his bachelor's degree, has a great full-time job, fully independent, fully. And there was a day they told me, I'll drug him, and Thai behavioral therapies, there's really nothing you can do, but maybe manage his symptoms. And I thought, what? No, I knew, I'd studied the brain. I knew about nutrition and holistic health. And I thought, I'm going to figure this out. And I did. And that's again why I'm here. So the things that affect the gut, you've got, again, pathogens, candida, you've got heavy metals affect the gut. All these things are creating inflammation, not only in the brain to prevent the brain from being able to function properly, but also in the gut. And so the gut is then inflamed and it weakens the lining of the intestines and it makes also our tummy hurt. A lot of time my son's stomach used to hurt him all the time. And the other things, the clearing the co-infection stage 3, these are very, very important and very commonly missed in testing. And if they are found, they're worked with improperly. And these things are things like mold biotoxins, which damage the brain, which, yes, we can heal up the brain from that damage. They damage the brain, cause inability to think clearly, um, trouble sleeping, bedwetting. You can see in stage 3 and day 2 of the event, if you watch the replay, if you missed it, of all of the things that are listed for what mold does. And one of the other things is it damages the gut lining. So again, we have to make sure our homes are mold free and that we've properly eradicated it. And then we have to use certain supplements very specifically to get it out of the body because 29% of the world population actually has a genetic defect that doesn't allow for our bodies to dispel the toxins from mold when we're exposed to water damaged building. So it's very important to know that your body is creating this cascade of inflammation inside to try and create a way to get rid of these toxins, but it's not working. And then you end up with this entire systems inflamed. And it's not just the brain, it's the hormonal system, and every system in the body, it's multi-system. And so this is important to work with properly. Lyme disease also directly damages the gut, and they say close to 100% of children with autism have Lyme disease. That, again, very, very strongly undetected in many tests. If they do find it, they usually throw a bunch of antibiotics at you, and much of these strains are antibiotic resistant. We use natural and safe things in my program for these that were designed directly for these proprietary organic herbal formulas that I am not allowed to give outside of the program because you need expert guidance. You need my guidance to use these things. They work on these things as well. Same as with the parasites. Very, very important. Most kids have parasites that are missed. They hide in tests. They're not usually seen. And if they are found, again, what do you usually get at the doctor? You get thrown a bunch of antibiotics. And I can tell from even personal experience that doesn't work. It's very short term, and then you end up with a bigger infection later on. We want to get long-term results, right? We also talked in day 2 about in stage 3 being co-infections about PANS. Very important. We can have an autoimmune reaction from too rapidly detoxifying without the knowledge of how to do it safely and slowly, and also from mold and Lyme are additional triggers for PANS. And so PANS is an acronym for when the immune system is attacking the brain. And we need to stop this quickly. We need to modulate or regulate the immune system. So these things are all important, and we work with everything. Then at the end, stage 4, brain support and repair. And that's because at that point, like my son never needed to go back to therapies. They weren't working for him. They were damaging his self-esteem. And I finally, even the therapist, this isn't working for him. This isn't working. She said, let's just keep trying. And finally I was like, I'm not going to put him through this anymore. And she finally said, you're right. I pulled him out, did all my research. It took me a decade. It's not going to take you a decade if you're in my program. I'm here to save you the time and money that I already spent figuring it out, doing the research, doing the trial and error, and working with it personally with my own son to get the experience. I have now had this program going for 10 years, almost 10, 9.5, and I've helped over 2,000 people in the program, and I've taught this to over 25,000 people worldwide. The program is available 24/7 online. You can do it from your phone, you can do it from your computer, and you can do it from a laptop anywhere you are in the world. That's it. The program's in over 40 countries. You can be anywhere you are in the world. All you need is Wi-Fi. You could literally, if you only had 10 or 15 minutes a day to kind of go, okay, this is what I'm going to do today. It's step 1. I can do that. I'm really busy, but I can do that. I'm going to get that product. I'm going to implement it. And then I'm going to go do what I need to do because I'm super busy. And then you're going to come back and then you go, okay, now I'm going to do the next step. And you can just do it on your timeline. And I encourage you to only do it as the pace that your child can go forward. Because if you try to move too quickly, then actually you can end up in one of those PANS flares that I talked about, where the immune system gets overactive or the detox and die-off reactions get strong because you're fighting things off too quickly. I give you guidance. Your job is to follow it and on your child's timeline. You go by symptoms, you only go as fast as their body can tolerate, and I work with you. And yes, there is direct connection to me in the private membership site for the forum we have, where if you have a question for your child or question comes up or something you need to know, you ask me in the forum, I get back to you within 24 hours. We also have a live monthly call that we get on with the whole community where you can ask me questions and I answer them there as well as an added extra, but you have the forum any day you need it and I get back to you right away. So those are all available to you. And as I was starting to say with stage 4, my son never needed to go back to therapies because once I healed up his brain and cleared the inflammation from his body and we just really got him healthy again, then his brain was able to function as it should have been anyway. Now he's able to be who he is, and that's what we want for your child. And I know people like myself and Nanti, who I shared in day 2 of the event, which you can listen to her share her story as well. She was spending $95 a week on speech therapy, and 400, basically $400 a month, and not getting results. And she joins my program, pulled her son out of speech therapy because it really wasn't working, just like I had pulled my son out of some various behavioral social therapies that were just not working. And Nanti never needed to take her son back to those therapies either. That saved her $4,500 a year, over 400 bucks a month or $400. And that's just the speech therapy, not all the supplements and the doctor's appointments and the other therapies and things that she was doing, right? That's just that one speech therapy. So this is here again to save you time and money. Once you've done all the stages, you'll know where your child's at, but yeah, it takes time. Okay, this isn't a Band-Aid or a quick fix. This is human biology. We're going to do it right, and it takes time. So you need, and I support you along the way. Georgina, how do I know if the co-infection, if my son has co-infections? So what I mentioned in day 2 of the event, day 3, or day 2 of the 3-day event, when I start talking about the co-infections, it's really about watching more for symptoms, but because we use certain things, specific elixirs and proprietary organic herbal formulas, they are not a medicine, and they are not something that you have to worry about doing any damage in the body. They are broad spectrum, which means they only help to regulate the immune system and help all parts of the body, as they're also targeting what we're using them specifically for. And so as we do that, you don't have to worry about anything being dangerous, and it's all safe. And it's not like just throwing an antibiotic in there, which most of us are told to do by most practitioners, and then it's actually causing harm. When if we test for these things, I say save your money. I'd rather see you spend the money on the supplements that you'll need to get to work on the actual underlying issue, because these tests are very, very commonly inaccurate. So they will very commonly come up negative when your child is actually positive. I had somebody, I know she did 10 different Lyme tests, and they all came up negative. She had Lyme when she was pregnant, so she knew her son had to have it, and he had all the symptoms of it because we pass it in utero and through breast milk, as well as tick bites, sand fleas, horse flies, now everything. And so he contracted it, and it was test 11 where she said there's no way. She did a different test, Western blood test, being a little more accurate, but still not always accurate. Again, you don't rely on these tests. It came up positive, and she said, I knew it. But all that time, she was not treating her son or working with it, and because it wasn't helping him. They said the testing said he was negative, and she just knew in her heart that he had to have it. And so this is why I say, if you were using something that was dangerous, like antibiotics or whatever, they're going to do harm, then, we might want to try and figure out better, but you still can't rely on the tests. So it doesn't really make sense. But when we use something safe and natural that very much works, then we just do it anyway. We do A to Z because we're covering things. We look at symptoms. There's other things to look at, but we're not missing anything important so that we come up short of the optimum results, because that is very, very common. A parent will think, well, I don't think my child has that, so I won't do that. Well, then their symptoms, remain for certain things, and then they end up doing that part, and they're like, oh wow, they got a lot better. So obviously it was, so I'm like, just do the A to Z. Don't try and skimp or jump around either. Well, I want you, there's a specific sequence in my membership program, and it's meant to be followed step by step as far as the supplements go, one at a time and in the order that they're laid out, because we're preparing the body for, and we're strengthening it over time, right? It's never just one thing. If you watch the 3-day event, you'll see how many of the symptoms of the different things that I talk about will overlap. So, is it this or this or this or this? Well, could be one, could be two, could be all, likely all. So we want to cover it thoroughly and strengthen the whole body and let the brain have its itself back so that it's not inflamed. Um, by the way, I tell this story in the event, but that same mom who had her son tested for Lyme, in second grade, first grade, he was given an IQ test because he couldn't, pass any tests. He couldn't think in classrooms. And they said, oh, his IQ is just really low. He's just not very smart. That was literally what they told her, because the IQ test came out super low. She did a lot of the work, Lyme, mold, all of the things that are affecting the brain. Other end, today, that boy is, I believe he's about 21 or 22 years old now. He's in medical school. Brilliant, brilliant. He was never not smart. He was always brilliant. It's just that his brain could not function properly under all of the inflammation and with the pathogens and infections and everything that were bombarding his brain. He couldn't think clearly. And I know we've all experienced that. If you've ever even had, a flu or whatever, been sick, where you're just like, I can't think. Now imagine that times 100, and your brain is just so bogged down. You just, you can't think clearly. And so we want to make sure, again, we get the best results. So we do A to Z, and we do it safely. Hi, Angela. Why do many autistic individuals like these specific things: trains and moon, vacuums, letters, numbers? How come these are common obsessions? Oh, why do they have obsessions? It's part of autism, and what they use to diagnose, which is just a symptom. Now, OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder, there is caused, again, if you missed any one of the 3-day event, go and watch them now or revisit them if you need to. I cover a lot of the symptoms of different things so you can identify better. And it's never just one thing, but there are sometimes a couple of things that are like, usually one or two or three things that are kind of more key in a specific symptom, but I still know that everything has to be worked with because they all affect the other. I mentioned how Candida prevents the body from naturally helping to detoxify the heavy metal mercury. Well, mercury then is by being in the body, not only is it damaging the brain, causing aggressive behaviors, neurological disabilities, and learning functional disabilities, all these things that I mentioned in the day one of the event where I cover heavy metals, that not only is it doing all of that, but it also is, causing, obsessive compulsive disorder, and it is inhibiting the body from being able to fight that candida. So if we do some things to work with candida, then we have to make sure we're working with the heavy metals, right? Because the heavy metals, that mercury, could be stopping the body from doing more of the work we need to do. So again, both are affecting each other. So OCD is big with heavy metals, and all kids with autism are burdened with heavy metals. And if you do a test and it tells you your child doesn't have any, I can tell you the test is wrong. And then if you also know that PANS, where I talked about that acronym, Pediatric Autoimmune Neuropsychiatric Syndrome, and if it's PANDAS, associated with strep. And this is, again, an autoimmune reaction from the immune system getting overactive and attacking the brain causes a lot of heavy OCD. And we need to stop that. Big triggers from it are Lyme and mold, and they also, it's from rapid detox. A lot of parents just, they're sent home from a practitioner's office. I hear this all the time with like one mom was sent home with 13 supplements. Here, give these to your kids, start having them take them today. She just followed directions, took them. Her own words were, it was like an exorcism. He was just went crazy wild, like out of control. Because you cannot do that with nobody should do that, but especially a child with autism. People have to know autism. It is very, very specific. These kids are sensitive and they have so much toxicity in them that we have to detoxify very slowly. The liver, which is the organ of detoxification, is backed up already with toxins. And so it's not strong enough to push everything out. Hence the need for the toxin binders and strengthening the detox pathways, which are also very, very weak in these kids. So it's important to do all of the work with them. So we don't want to skip anything or miss anything important. Okay, I'm seeing some questions jumping in the chat here. Anita, does bad bacteria in the gut cause brain issues? Yes, 100% it does. How to get viruses, bacteria, mold out of cells, is there a possible triggering? They are absolutely triggering. They're more than just possible, Anita. I can tell you they are very triggering. And I work with them again, it's an A to Z approach. It's not just, oh, this one supplement's going to do it for that, or these two supplements will take care of that. It is a process. And nothing important can be left out. With viruses in particular, which are very important that we work with children with autism, and especially because the viruses will disrupt the speech branches of the brain. And so speech is a big issue there, and as is aluminum targets the speech branches. So, again, never just one thing. I work with these all, again, with natural supplements that are very specific to what they need. We have these, if you watch again the event, even in day 3, I go over the specifics of what the program offers you. You get a personalized elixir reading for your child's needs. You get access to the proprietary organic herbal formulas, but you have to wait until you have worked on some of the foundational aspects and strengthen your child's body before we start targeting some of those pathogens, because you have to make sure the body's strong enough or you're going to have a huge die-off reaction and it's going to be ugly. You don't want that to happen. And it's important that Lyme really, really suppresses the immune system. So we work with Lyme a little bit before we get to the viruses also, because that way the immune system is a little stronger, and it just is a knowledgeable thing to know how to do these. And I educate you as you move through the program, and everything is in a sequential step-by-step order for these specific reasons that I'm telling you right now. We don't want to just start jumping around, or, oh, I'm gonna just jump right into that, and then you're probably going to regret it at home. I want you to have success, and I want you to have it done the best way possible, the best results, and successfully, and as simply and easily as I can with this complexity of autism. Because of course, this is 19 years now of research in autism and 38 years in other knowledge around holistic health with nutrition and knowing certain companies and supplements and massage background and studying the brain with craniosacral therapy. All these things that I have knowledge of, I bring to you, but I lay it out so that the supplements are step by step. And then there are some like module 1, part 1 has these placeholder pages where you go at your leisure to learn about additional things you can use to help detoxification for your child, assist their body along the way. Another page called sensory and stress reduction for calming, be helpful, sound helpful, right? Other things, a couple supplements that you can use there, but also other strategies and things that can work and things to know for, again, my past knowledge of, again, working with the body, things that I teach you that you can do for your child and even yourself. Yes, as parents, we have to take care of ourselves. It's very stressful. I do know it as a mom who has lived it. And I really hope that you're taking care of yourself as well. So hopefully that answers that question there. Sharon, the fact that all the toxins and things would cause my child to continuously get croup. So depending, a specific ailment like that, it's likely that there are underlying weaknesses in not only the immune system, but when it's something that is affecting like the respiratory system, it's usually very, very much bacterial, and there are definitely a lot of things. Candida can get into the esophagus, Candida can get into the ears. There's a lot of ear infection issues. So again, never just one thing, but yes, it's why they continue to stay ill and don't get better. Um, Sharon, how do you feel about leucovorin? I don't utilize the drugs for things. I'm very much about natural supplementation. They'll use a lot of different drugs for a lot of things, and they're short term, and they can have not so great side effects. I just usually like to just stick with what I have researched well and know. Pectazole is one of the many, many things that I use. It's not there. We want to reduce inflammation, work with heavy metals, and there are a lot of different things that go. So it's never just, oh, this is my only favorite supplement, or this is some. They all have a purpose, and so again, I would never just want to say only do this one thing and expect you to get the greatest results, because it might help, but it's not going to be optimum, right? You have to understand. I think you probably understand that. Anita, my severe autistic kid has cradle cap reappearing. I feel like it's an indication of lymphatic system and trying to detox. And I read that usually it can be yeast or mold and backed up detox system, and that's exiting from the head. And that is correct. And it's very, very common. Even babies are born with cradle cap. I try to stay away from medical words, and I don't make claims. I'm not a doctor, blah, 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 right? I don't diagnose, treat. But it's very common from candida overgrowth, and our kids have a lot of candida overgrowth. And it's when I was working with my son, it's a bear. It's one of the biggest things, actually, I would say, that took me to figure out. I tried so many different natural supplements and companies and things that said that their product would work, and nope, 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 nope. And I found the one that does, and it's in the program. And it's not just one, again, though, too. Remember, I mentioned you got to work with the heavy metals so the body is stronger and able to fight the candida on its own, as well as some of the different supplementation that we use for it. But yeah, you're right. It definitely has a lot to do with that. The first thing you can do today is change their diet. You want to make sure that they're not eating sugary foods or processed carbs that are feeding that candida. And they're going to be likely very addicted to those foods, because that bacteria in our gut, they thrive on that and they need it. So they make us crave it. So if they crave sugar and crave carbohydrates, it is a good indication of that overgrowth. And so as you start to reduce those foods, some of those bad bacteria are going to start to die, hence the term die off. And that's what we want. But if you don't have toxin binders, you don't do it slowly, don't do it, you don't have things in place to help stabilize the detox pathways, then yeah, you're going to see a lot of behavioral increase in stuff like that. So do start the process. Like I gave a download even with day one, but I talked about them in day one of the 3-day event about transitioning your child out of picky eating, and also good foods that you can have and foods to avoid. In my membership program, I have a full and very, very complete page around everything that you need to know about diet. It is not just, oh, let's remove processed carbohydrates, sugar, gluten, and dairy. It's much more than that. And there are a lot of good foods that they can eat. I show you how to get creative with things, recipes and cookbooks. It's all in there for you. So, and there's a lot of healthy foods that can actually cause anxiety and increased behaviors. So it's important to understand that what you're feeding your child also may be contributing to a behavior that you're not even aware of because you think, well, it's a healthy food, and that can be causing, problems. I know somebody who was having a really bad skin, itchy like rash, and I started troubleshooting with her. What are you doing? Because parasites cause rashes too, and skin is one of the ways we detoxify. So I started looking at, well, what else is she doing? And she was doing these shakes with smoothies every day with a lot of spinach. And I said, you're having the oxalic acid, the oxalates from the spinach are becoming toxic in your body. It can be really hard on your kidneys. And she was like, what? And I said, yeah, I avoid spinach. She was shocked. And it's common things like that that people just don't know. You think, well, spinach, it's a healthy food. It has oxalates in it, and our kids are very sensitive to it, and it can become toxic in the body. And so you just have to be aware of these things if you're having certain reactions or histamine triggering foods. There are a ton of them. And if your child gets really anxious after they eat or can't sleep that night, there are a lot of things to know about histamines. And of course, it's summertime. So, if they're swimming in chlorinated swimming pools, that's another thing that, it's toxic and they're very, very, it's a very high histamine trigger. So you notice, well, they get anxious afterwards, or sometimes you have trouble sleeping that night, and it could be contributed to that. So again, more knowledge. um, um, sure, and that makes sense. He has a problem swallowing food, so it could be candy. There's a lot of things going on there. Um, yeah, there again, it's never just one thing. She's Sharon, "Oh my god, it can eat in ears, slapping the ears a possible sign of symptoms." It could be that his ears are hurting him, from that, but it also sometimes if they're directly on the ears, I mentioned craniosacral work is really helpful too, and there's a way to help balance the temporal bones around the ears, and they have a lot to do with speech, the cranial nerves that go to, the tongue and mouth for speech, an area of the brain back here that has to do with speech. Because if these bones get out of balance, they can affect different things we do. And also the temporal bones around the ears have a lot to do with our ability to stay calm. So, like, if you see a lot of anger issues, that can be an issue too. But yeah, I mean, it definitely slapping the ears could be that their ears are hurting, and the candida does get up in the lymphatic system. You're right. You can massage gently down like this, just gently massage the neck in a downward motion, and that helps drain some of this lymphatic area. A very simple thing to do, and you'll notice when you do it immediately, you feel kind of like woken up, and you're a little bit more mental clarity, and really, really helpful. You can do it to yourself, and I suggest doing it to yourself, and also do it to your child and teach them to do it to themselves too, if they are willing or able. That can be helpful. So yeah, you're welcome. Folinic acid. So folate is a better form. We want, like you'll hear of methylfolate. And another thing too, methylation, hence the word methyl, right? So like people say, like in my program, if your child is already on methyl, not cyanico, but methyl B12, and they're doing well on it, keep them on it. But if they're not on it yet and you have a lot of detox work to do and you know it, then I have methyl B12 like down in module 2 in my program, because if the detox pathways aren't ready for it yet, and that methylation, hence the methyl pathway, is not strong enough yet, your kid can get super hyper on it. And so you can try a tiny bit and see how they do, but hyperactivity with it gives indication that they just need some more toxin, of course, binders, and they need some more strengthening of the detox pathways to get to it. Again, everything has its place and in a sequential order. So it's important to, again, know that. And I give all of this to you in the membership program. There is no other way that I can get through all of this information, but also give it to you in such a sequential roadmap in such a way that you know how to use everything you're using, when to use it. If you have questions, ask me in the forum. You have my support every step of the way. It is bar none the best way that I can help you. And as I said, I've seen thousands of people get results in my program where they never had before. And so please, please go to the page now, naturallyrecoveringautism.com/go. If you missed any part of the 3-day event and you want to look at it, please do to learn. It is still available for a limited time, as is enrollment to the membership program, which you can also get the link and learn all about and everything it offers you and how much it is and everything, all of that. Those options and choices there for you are all at naturallyrecoveringautism.com/go. So everything is on the same page for you there. Please, please go now and join the program right away. You'll have an email from me within 5 minutes. And if you don't see it there right away, check your spam folder because it should be there within 5 minutes. If you have any questions still remaining that didn't get answered, or something comes up after you join and you have a question, you can go to our email us at support@naturallyrecoveringautism.com. Otherwise, that email should be there within 5 minutes. Again, check your spam folder if you don't see it right away, because sometimes people write in, they're like, I didn't get my welcome email with my login to the member site. And then they were like, did you check your spam folder? And they did. And they're like, oh yeah, there it is. So always double check that if you don't see it. But within 5 minutes, you'll have an email from me and it'll give you your login details and give you your first steps to get started so you know what to do. And as an extra bonus for this enrollment, I am offering a live call that I'll do with all new members just a few days after enrollment closes to make sure everybody gets into it. And I'm there to support you. Make sure you feel confident with starting and getting going. It's very well laid out and sequential, and everything tells you where to go first. But I like to make sure that you feel comfortable. And so I'm offering this bonus for those who enroll in this enrollment period. Now for this, I'm offering this. So please, please take advantage of it. I'm here to support you. You can do this, absolutely can do this. And you guys are very, very welcome. I truly appreciate you for taking the time to be here, taking the time to educate yourself, and doing all that you can for your child, because you are absolutely the key to their success. Nobody else is going to be able to do for your child what you can do for them. And so it always means so much to me to see you as a parent here and being willing to do what you can for your child, because your openness and your willingness and your action, because you've got to take action, the action taking are absolutely what are going to make the difference in your child's life. And so that is what we really, depend on is you being able to move forward. And I know sometimes you wanted to, or it wasn't a lack of commitment, you just didn't really know what to do. And that was my story in the beginning. Absolutely. It's like, I got to figure this out. Well, I've already figured it out. I've done all of the research, spent the time, the decades. I have spent over $150,000 of my own money figuring it out. And now I lay it out for you in this affordable, it's about the cost of a cup of coffee a day, the program. It's affordable. It's an investment in your child's life. It is well laid out, step by step, A to Z, thorough roadmap with my support. What else do you want? You got it all in one place. You don't have to go searching around or jumping around anymore. It's all here for you, streamlined in one place. So come join us. We are open right now for a limited time. So go join the program today, naturallyrecoveringautism.com/go. And I look forward to seeing you inside the program and helping you get the absolute best results for your child and seeing them thrive. And that's really what it's all about. We want them healthy and happy. It's so important for them to be happy, and for you as a parent too, because you deserve the support also. Make sure that you are taking care of yourself. You can learn about all of the options for joining and everything it gives you on the page at naturallyrecoveringautism.com/go. So go there now and join the program, and I'll see you then. All right. Thanks so much for being here. I appreciate you, what you're doing for your child, and I really look forward to helping you. Take care.